Today will energize your afternoon, or at least we will try our best to. By really, the aim is to get you thinking about how can practitioners empower youth for lifelong learning with a focus on equity. In this sense, what I really want you to think about during this session is that technology in itself is not a silver bullet, but rather if we want to think about equity, it's about bridging evidence into investment, design, procurement, and implementation of EdTech to ensure that tech actually supports learning rather than using tech with the hope or that only ambition that or assumption that it's going to increase learning outcomes. So with that in mind, I'm going to introduce you to our panelists who themselves represent the tech sector at multiple levels. So we have a variety of representation from, first of all, an innovation and research center within an academic institution, an Asian edtech provider that implements edtech in low resource settings, and finally a global technology company that has a vision towards skilling and empowering youth and adults. So without further ado, I'm going to begin by introducing our first speaker, Dr. Shubham Sahai, who is a software engineer and researcher at the National University of Singapore's AI Center for Educational Technologies, and has over a decade of experience in building, preserving systems with an expertise in blockchain, applied cryptography, and system design. So 3 years ago, Shubham transitioned to the field of computer-aided education, leveraging his skills to create AI-driven solutions that address critical challenges in programming education. His work focuses on helping struggling students overcome initial hurdles in their programming journey, ultimately aiming to reduce dropout rates and empower instructors to provide personalized learning. As a software engineer at ICET, is that right, Shubham? ICET? We just spell it A-I-C-E-T. Dr. Sahai was instrumental in developing Godavari. He'll tell you. He'll tell you how to pronounce it. An automated programming coach that's now been integrated into 3 different learning management systems across Singapore and India, so low and high resource settings, benefiting over 2,000 users annually. Currently, he is also building Kuditsu, which is an advanced platform designed to evaluate programming skills and identify knowledge gaps. With Kuditsu, he aims to revolutionize the code assessment space, offering robust tools that for both candidates and organizations to assess and enhance programming proficiency. So without further ado, over to you, Shubham.
Thank you, Hani. So I'll just step out. So, hello everyone. Swadika. Let me begin with a question. How many of us have actually stopped learning here? No one. Okay, let me make sure that this is not because we are all sleepy because of lunch. Let me flip the question. How many of us are still learning here? Can I see a quick show of hand? Wow, all of us? Why? Why are we still learning, right? Each one of us have our own motivations behind it. Maybe we have a learning mindset. We just want to continue learning because that's what gave us a kick. Or maybe we are just curious in general, and we want to know what's happening around. We want to stay updated. Maybe our work engagements require us to continue learning, and we want to do better at work. Or, like all of us out here, we want to serve the society, we want to learn what's happening around here and how we can bring local changes in our own communities when we go around. But the bottom line is, we all are learning continuously as we go about. But the next question is, are we learning effectively? So for us, learning has evolved as we have all grown, right? We all began with some schooling, where there was structured learning experience that were driven by the curriculum and your teachers around. Then we graduated to universities, where the learning was semi-structured. You could choose and pick what discipline you want to, you can choose and pick what specialization you want to, and you can pick up projects and you learn in a semi-structured way. Finally, once we reach work, we learn based upon the work engagements, work requirements, and the project requirements around here. But now what? In the future, how do we continue learning beyond our actual requirements? We need to learn because we need to be updated with the changing landscape of technology, the changing landscape of the work engagements, the changing world around us. How do we keep up? So long-term learning actually depends upon two factors. What is the motivation and how much motivated we are while we are doing it? And what is the effort that is required for us to actually learn? And these two factors are actually crucial. And there are a lot of technology tools that have evolved in the past decade that can support you. There could be cohort-based learning thanks to the proliferations of all the internet around the globe. So you can have small cohorts where you are taught. There could be massive online platforms that you can run, MOOCs for short, where you can go ahead and pick a course from a favorite university. Or there could be micro-learning platforms such as Duolingo, which will gamify your experience and you can learn around it. Right? However, all of these platforms see a high failure and dropout rates because to stay motivated in these courses is a pretty hard achievement. In fact, MOOC has a staggering dropout rate of more than 60 to 70%. Right? So why are these tools not able to solve our problem? Because it's not a technological problem. You all teachers here, we can relate, it's a pedagogical problem. The key question that we want to address is that how do we manage motivation for the students? What kind of personalization you require? What kind of motivation you require for the student, thinking from the student's perspective, which the teachers are actually amazing at doing. However, unfortunately, a lot of these technology solutions move teachers out of the picture, and they build solutions that they feel is going to work. And this was being mentioned in the keynote yesterday as well, that we need to bring teachers at the core of the policy and the technological evolutions that is happening to make sure that the students actually learn. So at AICET, that's what we do. Housed in Singapore, National University of Singapore, we are teachers engaging with teachers, and we are building technologies by the teachers for the teachers and the students across. And we are using AI to approach this problem from two dimensions. One, how can we personalize the learning experience so that whatever you are learning is individual, because each individual has a specific requirement. How do we personalize at that level? And the second, for any student who is stuck, how do we provide personalized feedback? And in the wake of it, we built two tools, Chigo and Codavory, which is what I'm going to present in the next half of my talk. So Chigo is a tool powered by our in-house AI, generative AI, as well as generative AI to deliver personalized learning experiences for students. So Chigo is largely inspired by real-life student interactions, and it's supercharged with Gen AI to give a more human-like experience. Let's take a look what Chigo can do for you. There is no audio. The slides have a video. There is no audio that is. The audio is not being shared.
When you teach a small class, you can cater to the different learning styles of each student. However, the bigger your class grows, the less your personalization can be made for each student. A renowned educational psychologist, Benjamin Bloom, first described this phenomenon in his 1984 paper as the 2 sigma problem. He found that compared to conventional big class teaching, if each student was given personal one-to-one tutoring, they performed significantly better, in fact by 2 standard deviations. So this is our key insight, and many has corroborated how effective personal tutoring is in achieving a deeper engagement and stronger lesson understanding. But the problem is scale, right? There are only so many good teachers out there. That's where we step in. Introducing Chigo, a personalized learning platform built for the next generation of education. Let's see how it works. This is how a typical lesson flows. You introduce some concepts, give some definitions, provide some examples, and you check for understanding. If something's not quite right, you clarify. Make sure everyone's clear. And when all is well, you move on. And this is how it looks like in Chigo. This is the storyboard, where where you design and test your entire lesson from start to finish. And your students will see this. Your lesson contents are delivered in blocks of content and action. Contents form the knowledge base, and how they proceed with an action, which is a form of feedback, really, determines where the lesson will go next. And check out that confetti, totally environmentally friendly. If at any time students feel like asking something, they can do so right here. You can then answer these questions and send the student right back on their way to mastery. Now, I know what you're thinking. Manually answering every question is not scalable. That's why, based on the context and our knowledge, Chico can generate a draft reply that you can review before you send it. As more and more questions get answered by drafting and human review, our knowledge gets more and more robust. After enough iteration, you can finally turn on auto reply and stream answers directly to the students. But even then, if the conversation is stuck, you can intervene and send them back on track. So you're always in control. Now, this is where we differ from a typical teaching chatbot, because we don't want the chatbots to take over the learning experience. You already have a great lesson crafted at Chico here, so we want to make sure that even if the student digress, they will eventually converge back to the lesson. We call this continuity, and that's auto-reply. Next is recall. Teaching is the business of managing motivation, right? And the thing is, people forget things over time. Recall is a feature where we tap into the rich platforms that students already use, like Telegram, and deliver reminders, motivators, and contents for them to refresh what they've learned directly to them, wherever they might be. And that's recall. Next is co-author. You guys, teachers, already have great materials that you use to teach your classes today. So, with co-author, you can just take your PowerPoint slides or those long PDF files, and with some voodoo AI magic, co-author will draft a lesson that you can then test, edit, and publish. And that's co-author. We believe teachers are at the heart of improving education. So we build a platform that mimics the affective components of teaching, enabling teachers to scale up their influence over more students, making this level of good, effective, personalized learning experience accessible to more people, effortlessly. This aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education for all, from young to lifelong learners, and bridging the educational divide within and beyond borders. Granted, these are immense goals, but these values guide us as we build Chico, with the insights we gather from students and teachers to deliver the best personalized learning experience and improve learning beyond Singapore for all.
So that's Chico for you. So Chigo actually uses the way teachers interact, and we have observed that carefully to build this system and to make sure that each student gets a personalized experience. But there's still a question. This is about delivering learning experience, right? Delivering your material to the student. What about when they are trying to solve the problems? And that's where Codevary comes in. So it's an AI assistant that is currently focusing on programming, but it is able to generate automatic feedbacks for all the programming questions that the students might have. Let's take a look how Codevary can enhance the students' experience while they are trying to self-learn or attempt their assignments.
It is almost midnight, and our student is writing a Python program for his assignment. It is 5 minutes before the submission deadline, and he has written a program. But upon running his program, he realizes that it is incorrect. He has no idea where the mistake is, and he cannot reach his teacher at this time. Enter Codevary. He just clicks the hint buttons. Behind the scenes, Codevary examines his code and then provides personalized guidance immediately. And this happens within his familiar programming platform. He gets hints and not answers. This way, he fixes his mistakes, while at the same time learning the programming concepts. Our technology also reduces the teacher's load by highlighting common student misconceptions, helping grade submissions, and curating student-specific problems. Codevary's technology helps students learn, and teachers do what they do best.
And that's Codevary for you. So together with Chico and Codevary, You can deliver a personalized learning experience for the kid, and once they are attempting their problems, you can provide them feedback seamlessly in a personalized fashion without spending time for individual student and still giving an individualized one-on-one attention, right? And finally, the heart of all of everything is the teacher. So Codavery is already integrated with the two LLMs that are widely being used in Singapore and India, so that it can provide a direct access to the teachers and the students across who are using these platforms. It also helps you grade submissions. So the beauty of all of this is you can reach out at scale. You can reach out at scale. You can make it co-author. You can have a auto-reply feature. You can provide helps directly. Let's see how your workload could be reduced as a teacher if you are using Codavery under the hood.
Integrated with our learning management system, Courseology. Let's face it, grading can be overwhelming. Piles of assignments, complex code, and limited time. Endless hours deciphering code and manually marking errors can take a toll on an instructor. But with Codavery, these pain points are a thing of the past. Let's explore how Codavery transforms grading, making it a breeze for instructors like you. Within Courseology, students submit their programming assignments. Codavery, working behind the scenes, effortlessly identifies errors within the student's code. Then it generates personalized feedback directly on the corresponding lines of their code. Your role? Simply review, verify, and post the feedback to your students without leaving Courseology. It's that seamless. Bid farewell to those long hours deciphering code and manually marking errors. Codavery dramatically reduces your grading workload so you can spend more time on meaningful teaching. Instructors, welcome to a grading process that is streamlined, efficient, and tailored for your needs. Experience the future of grading with Codavery within Courseology. Let us simplify your life. Join the educational revolution and elevate your teaching with Codavery today.
So this is what we have been cooking at AICET in our kitchen. So the key benefits that you can get out of using these technologies is, one, you can provide adaptive learning and personalized learning experience to each of your students. You can provide them immediate and personalized feedbacks whenever they are stuck around the clock. And finally, you can efficiently do the evaluation and providing them support wherever they need, whereby you can reduce the effort and the time that is required. But it's not all hunky-dory, right? With the use of AI, there are certain challenges which we must highlight. When we are going, the AI has its own limitations. There could be inaccuracies. There could be cases of hallucinations when you are talking about generative AI. We want to ensure that the only qualitative feedback, quality feedback reaches the student, right? We want to do no harm. The worst thing you would want to do to an already struggling student is to confuse them further. We need to ensure that. And finally, we need to ensure the privacy and data security and the related risks corresponding to the student that is exposed to. So we are handling all of these things while we are building. We have all of these things in mind, and we are handling them while we are building our in-house technologies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shobham. You raised many interesting insights as you began by saying really what we agree with at EdTech Hub, that it's not just a technological problem, it's a pedagogical problem. And this is something that global evidence has really emphasized, that technology must really place learners and teachers at the heart of implementation. But with that in mind, sometimes what we also know is that teacher frustrations with technology in low resource settings that sometimes is misaligned with their infrastructural requirements or capacity levels leads to a lot more challenges. So, it was great to hear about these examples from settings and to hear how your organization is bringing together research by being, housed in the National University of Singapore with, practice by testing it out, piloting, iterating. Fantastic. But now we'll also hear from a practitioner now who will share some of his organization's lessons with us, which is really around implementing in very low resource settings and about, grappling with teacher realities within these settings. So without further ado, I will introduce our next speaker, who is Mr. Omer Ali, who is the Director of Product Outreach and Engagement of Knowledge Platform, one of the Asia Pacific's leading next-generation learning solutions companies. Omer is a passionate advocate for transforming education into meaningful solutions through the use of digital education, especially for marginalized communities. As a director and board member of Knowledge Platform, leading a team of passionate educationists, Omer has dedicated his career to making education more inclusive and accessible for all. He has actively worked across Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Philippines, and Bangladesh, reaching over 1.2 million learners and collaborating with more than 20,000 teachers to bring forward impactful digital learning solutions and gamified learning experiences to underserved populations. With a background in engineering and a master's degree in mechatronics, robotics, AI, and automation engineering, Omer believes that Omer blends together his technical expertise with a commitment to equitable education. So over to you, Omer. Excited to learn from you today.
Thank you so much, Hani. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. This is Umair Ali, and I'm really excited to be presenting the role of technology and AI to support lifelong learning with you. I'll take you through the journey and a pathway to the 21st century education. But you might be thinking that an engineer and talking about education, so let me share my story with you. I was sitting in my first class in my engineering university, and I was taking a calculus 101 subject. And my teacher asked me about how you can probably convert a quadratic equation into a linear equation. And I was blank. But you know, I was learning about linear equations from grade 6. And that's the point where it struck me that probably lifelong learning is important. And I'll do something after my graduation for education so that I can bring in change in the lives of other people. And probably not another Umair is sitting in a classroom and thinking about how one particular skill can be a problem for his life. So that's why I joined Knowledge Platform. So Knowledge Platform is a Singapore-based multinational organization. We started back in 2001, and we are partnering and working with Ahan Education Services, GSMA, iPeople, and we have offices in Pakistan, in Singapore, and we are just starting our office in Kenya. And we have reached out to 1.2 million learners across Pakistan as well as other emerging markets. What's our mission? Our mission is actually to transform education. It is to transform education from inside out. We cannot do anything until and unless we work on our learners, we work with teachers, we improve the curriculum, and we uplift the institutions. So leveraging technology is a simple task, but making it accessible to all the stakeholders is an issue. So that's what we are doing. And we are working with all these stakeholders to actually improve education quality and to enable teacher development, enhance the curriculum, and drive the institutional quality. And to do that, we are providing technology, content, and support. And believe me, that's that what we are doing. We are covering all the three aspects of technology-enabled school, and the impact that we have received in the emerging markets is that as a low-cost solution, we have received up to 60% results improvement in the remotest of the locations. Let's take you to the pathway of 21st century education. So you know, there's a learning age transition. We passed the agricultural age where there was a personalized learning, but it was for very few. But then we came into an industrial age where there was a mass learning for many. But now we are shifting. Right after COVID, we are in an information age where we are focusing on personalized learning for the many. And that's not an easy task. And we have to prepare for it. We need revolution, and it cannot be done easily. And you just cannot bring that revolution online. That's why we made our solution very student-centric, but offline as well. It's linked with the 21st century skills, and it is embedding the technology. So making technology available offline and online was a challenge. But why it is important? Why it is so important to bring in that revolution? Because we need to understand what is the lifelong learning context in middle age, in actually the modern age. It is actually the pursuit of knowledge and skills, but it should not only be the one directional. It should be personal and professional growth that should empower, adapt, and thrive in the evolving world. And what impacts does this lifelong learning actually imparts? It's actually impacts the rapid changing job market. It actually impacts the technological advancements as well as the evolving skills requirement. And the problems and the challenges to bring that lifelong learning into our lives was accessibility, engagement, and traditional education models. That's what we should change, and that's what we should focus on, and that should be our agenda to bring in the change. So we did some analysis. We tried to understand that what actually job market looks like and what is the future of job looks like. So we saw that actually the World Economic Forum reflects that the 21st century skills, soft skills, and technology use of skills bring in the lifelong learning. And probably it is not again very easy to do it in a classroom. So we also try to understand the global demand of the skills, and we found out that the higher cognitive and technological skills are something that are in the demand, but it is not easy to implement. So we actually then designed a framework. We actually started working on evolving the skills, and transformed and designed and divided the skills into the two main streams. So we call a blue sky skills that covers the communication, critical thinking, and creativity, and we call the green earth skills that are more related to the collaboration, problem solving, and innovation. And it is clubbed into a self-driven learning as well as digital literacy. Based on this framework, we designed a program that is a core skills development program. And our whole structure and the technology and the work that we are doing is actually dependent on this development program. And it is based on adaptive AI driven. And it starts from the middle school and takes up to the professional level. It covers your core skills like applied mathematics, applied English. You know, in Pakistan, most of the students are out of school, and we cannot bring them back to the school until and unless we bring their core skills back to the mainstream. So we cover core skills with the contextual knowledge and linked it with the 21st century skills. But how technology transforms learning? And I think this is the main message of my talk, that is that technology democratizes the access to education. And this is the most important part of this whole discussion, that we have to democratize. And we cannot democratize education by only providing online access or only providing online access to a very targeted segment. We have to make it available for all communities, for the marginalized communities like different countries who do not have access to the good education. And in knowledge platform, we are doing through Bonzo, that is learning games platform. So we are enabling our learners through games. We are enabling our learners through a learning platform that is an in-school learning that is done online as well as offline. And we are, because the teachers are heart of everything, so you know, I've been in discussion and I've been asked that how you bring in inclusivity to your system. So inclusivity comes in when you actually facilitate your teacher to create their own content as per their own need, as per their own requirement, and that's how we do it by Studio. And by Buddy, that's an adaptive learning. We introduce AI bot, adaptive learning, that's in development, and obviously it takes time to get developed. It needs more and more data, but that's something that's in process. So our learning through games and competition, believe me, we teach any subject through bite-sized learnings and competitions. So we have ready-to-use games. You can create your own games in a few minutes, and you can launch it as a competition. Link it with an incentive, and you see that students start getting learning. And we saw great results that we'll show in our case studies. And our anatomy of learning through games is very simple. There's a micro-learning step that you can see, and we have different templates. You can challenge yourself, you can get help through videos and small text, and you get a feedback and earn coins. Simple it is. And you can learn the most difficult topics through these bite-sized games. But AI is now the game changer. So you are seeing AI personalized learning snapshot of our solution, where we are providing a learning path. And that learning path is based on the data that we are collecting through our solutions. We actually connect the skills. We actually broken down the concepts into the skill, and each skill is linked to a prerequisite skill and an advanced skill. So based on the score that a student gets for each skill, they advance to that particular pathway. And that's how we are making it personalized. And at the Studio, we have the AI capability that now you can create content for any subject in just a few minutes. And you can create your different MCQs, game templates, assignments, ebooks, as well as the targeted content like videos, PDFs, and other content types. And AI assists you how? That we have included generative AI APIs. So now you can simply give it a subject or a topic, you get a target audience, you select advanced AI, and it generates you the content. And your role will be to simply edit it, make it inclusive, make it according to your need and requirement. And that's how we make it equitable. We make it available for everyone. And the most exciting thing on which we are working currently, and hopefully we'll be advancing very quickly on this and looking forward to different partnerships, is to bring AI learning bot, Newsbot and Quizbot, that not only recommends to a kid, but actually gives the quizzes to the students, as well as improves their learning by giving them the reports on the learning gaps. That's where data comes in. And on the right side of the screen, you might be seeing a dashboard. That's what I generated, and that's a DNA of learning mathematics in Pakistan. And we use this data actually to prepare different courses to teach mathematics even in the remotest of the locations. And we use this data to feed into our AI solutions the actual data that actually make your students' journey personalized. And we capture the content structure level data, general level data, we collect user performance data, as well as the context and behavior level data. That what makes learning personalized. And these are all inputs that gives you the very customized output. Our track record in learning games and competitions is impressive. In Pakistan, we worked with McDonald's, as well as we implemented it in school, in classroom, and reached out to around 1.2 million learners. And you all should definitely learn about a program with State Bank that we did on financial literacy. So we actually certified more than 1.5 million learners in Pakistan on financial literacy through games. They are financially literate, and there are a big number of women who are actually got facilitation out of this program. In middle schools, our program actually received a great, impressive results, up to 40% result improvements. And these are in the government school where there's no technology and the setting is very hard. And in high school program, we received up to 60% result improvement, all marked, all texted. We also have a great experience working in Afghanistan where we are providing facilitation to the girls when actually there's a ban on getting education and learning to the women in Afghanistan. So we are providing an online learning solution to those female students, and we have received a very overwhelming response. Now the vision for the future, I think AI and technology can enable everyone to be a lifelong learner. It should not be a matter of age or location. And it's not something that we can do alone. It should be a collaboration between governments, tech companies, and educational institutions to make it a reality. And the last but the most important thing, spend better, spend more. It's not about throwing money to everything, but it is to get something better out of it. There's a video, I don't know if we can show, see, or
Imagine a world where all children have access to a good education, regardless of ethnicity, language, gender, and class. At Knowledge Platform, we aim to make this vision a reality. Our goal is to provide digital education according to the needs of Pakistan and other emerging markets. COVID-19 brought everything to a halt, including schools, which caused significant disruption for students. We were already committed to providing digital education, but the pandemic made this necessary. We recovered students' learning losses through access to personalized and gamified educational content. Our mission is simple: to identify learning losses, improve learning outcomes, boost student engagement, and improve the quality of education using our blended learning model. As of 2024, we have impacted more than 500,000 students, 12,000 plus teachers, and more than 1,100 school leaders. We have established a strong presence in over 20 countries so far. We don't believe in rote learning. We design our content for conceptual understanding. The key features we offer are our learning management system, as well as diagnostic assessments, AI-based content recommendation engine, and real-time performance dashboards. Our exam preparation tool and lesson plans for teachers and students are among our most popular offerings. We provide training and support to teachers, administrators, and technical staff. Our comprehensive reports ensure all learning gaps are identified and reported. Our program is sustainable, scalable, and replicable. Our learning model is accessible both in class and at home. Based on this model, we have formed successful partnerships with stakeholders in the education sector. To maximize student engagement, we have launched game-based learning competitions for students with different partners. We hope to one day impact 100 million learners with our content and technology, reaching students in the country's remotest regions and revolutionizing education.
So I'll just close my presentation with the remark that to be a future-shaped community by technology, it is our commitment to learning. But we should not just work for our survival. We should be leading, we should be creating, and we should be transforming the world around us. It's not a matter of survival, but it's a matter of transformation. Thank you so much, and looking forward to more questions.
Thank you so much, Omer. Thank you, and really nice video to end with. Just, you know, I really liked how you highlighted the challenges around promoting lifelong learning, which you mentioned include accessibility, engagement, and of course, traditional educational models that don't support personalized learning or, you know, and I would add to that also, you know, many resource constraints that prevent teachers from providing that kind of tailored support in classroom, like high student to teacher ratios. And like I said, these challenges are particular to, while they're shared across many contexts, I think what you've highlighted is how to approach this solution and cater it towards low resource environments, like the focus on offline available learning management systems and the different ways that you need to kind of make sure that a solution fits the most marginalized rather than, just assuming that it will. So thank you for that. And I guess one thing it's left me wondering is around how we then approach the whole development of skills to ensure that teacher frustrations with different solutions remain low. And while the next example will cross a little bit outside of mainstream education, out of the world of K-12, but we still will learn about how to start thinking about upskilling youth with digital skills and other skills and beyond, which could also include teachers. Without further ado, I will introduce Abby Lasaka, who is currently the IBM Corporate Social Responsibility Country Lead in the Philippines. And Abby designs and executes local strategies for global CSR programs that drive social impact. And this includes education and workforce development, sustainability, employee giving, and volunteerism initiatives of the company. Concurrently, she's also the implementation manager of IBM Skill Build in the ASEAN region. IBM Skill Build is IBM's free digital learning program on emerging technology and professional skills with a focus on underserved communities, which is part of IBM's goal to train and upskill 30 million people by 2030. That's a lot of people. So let's hear more about it from Abby. Over to you.
Okay, hello. Thanks, Hani, and good afternoon to everyone. Good morning, good evening to all of you joining us virtually. So I hope you're still up and awake for this last presentation for this session. So my discussion will revolve around the platform that Hani has mentioned, IBM Skills Build. So the title is essentially Building the Skills of Tomorrow Today. So, and actually I'm stressing now, we can actually start building our skills right now as we sit in our desks. And I'll tell you more about the experience that we've had in the Philippines, where I am based in Manila. So as mentioned, IBM, the global technological company, has committed as a corporate social responsibility initiative to skill 30 million people globally by 2030 with a focus on underrepresented communities. Okay, so this is a huge goal, and I think we're about the 30% mark at this point, and we really want to scale this program further. I think in the first two gentlemen who spoke before me mentioned, the what is out there, right? Why we need lifelong learning to support future jobs and skills. So essentially, this slide tells you more about that. So this is from the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, and essentially what this is telling us that many of us who are in the corporate setting or in government or in the academe have to reskill, because many of our jobs have been impacted by technology. And we've seen that happen in the last few years, and greatly so during the pandemic, right? So, so essentially, we have to understand these technologies now. So that's the tech part, or that's the technical part. But also beyond that, because we are entering into a world of uncertainty, we have to make sure that our core skills are also continued to be improved, right? So these core skills, these are skills that you can bring anywhere, right? So whether you're from a corporate job or a government job, or you're a businessman or an entrepreneur, you need these core skills. So I'm talking about analytical thinking, creative thinking, agility, digital literacy, and of course, lifelong learning, right? So all of these things combined will propel us and is required for us to move into the future. Thus, as a company, we have created this platform called IBM Skills Build. So you can access it on skillsbuild.org, and it's a free platform, and it's really focused on job skills, courses, and credentials. So when I say credentials, these are industry recognized credentials. So I'll tell you more of that later on. So what is IBM Skills Build? So when you go to the platform skillsbuild.org, it's essentially this platform where you can learn many of the things on emerging technology as well as professional skills. And it caters to high school students and educators, as well as students in the academia and faculty. And for every one of us who's 18 and above, we can all learn on the adults platform. Okay, and when I say emerging technology, these are jobs that are moving very fast and are in high demand. So these are jobs in AI, cybersecurity, data analytics, coding and programming, project management, and even sustainability. So the footprint of Skills Build is it's free, it's over 1,000 courses, and it's available in 20 different languages. And in the Philippines, of course, our medium of instruction is in English, so I guess it's not a problem for us. But in ASEAN and in other places, we really have to translate the content, which is all right. You know, there are AI tools as well that can help us do those things. And we are offering this platform together with partnership across the globe. So later on, I'll tell you more about this global program that is implemented locally. So what I'm going to share with you is the Philippines experience, but in places where there are IBM corporate social responsibility, we're actually mirroring the same activities all throughout the countries where we are present. Okay, so the beauty about Skills Build is it's product agnostic in a sense, because it's not just really telling you to take our products and use it and things like that. It's essentially curated together with our content partners. Partners who are also reliable and recognized in their field, so whether it's in Linux programming or it's in project management or if it's in design, we work with various companies and organizations that are really, they know their stuff, right? They know what to do. So, and essentially, we've lined up many of these courses and aligned them into the job paths or the job roles that I mentioned earlier. So when I talk about industry recognized credentials, these are the badges in the system, and they're essentially free, particularly levels 1 and 2. So the awareness level and the comprehension level badges, you can actually take them now on your phones, on your tablets, on laptops, and any device that connects to the internet. And you can take any of these courses self-paced at your own time, whether you're in a bus or in a tuk-tuk or whatever it is that you're taking, and you can start learning, right? Instead of what they say, quote-unquote, doom scrolling. So, yeah. But beyond the levels 1 and 2, we do have the application or the job proficiency level, where we work with partners to be able to deliver a more holistic approach to skilling and training. So this is just a snapshot of what these badges can look like. So if I were a high school student, I would probably just take the foundational topics to begin with. So if I want to understand the foundations of AI, for example, then I would start from level 0. And it's not just high school learners. You know, if I were maybe a retiree or somebody who's wants to learn a new skill, then I can just take any of these courses online. So essentially, it moves from left to right, the progression and the stackability of the credentials. And we've been talking to organizations in the Philippines, such as the Ministry of Education and Department of Higher Education, to understand also the beauty of these industry-recognized credentials. So this is just a snapshot. This is not everything we have, but just to tell you how the stackability and the progression looks like in the platform. Okay, so of course everybody's talking about AI, Gen AI, And of course, we do have these in IBM Skills Build. And beyond, and part of the 30 million goal is to train 2 million people by 2026 to provide you with AI skills, to understand what AI is, and make it really easy for any learner. So we start with some micro-learning, express learning activities that you can take on the platform, from 15 minutes of understanding how technology is being used in concerts, for example, or how to understand technology used in tennis, things like that. So many of these courses are being improved, and there's a lot of topics on AI that you can actually take on Skills Build. So, of course, we have like the introduction to Gen AI. I think you might be interested in this course called Mastering the Art of Prompting. If you're a teacher and you're being asked to use these Gen AI tools, it would be good to also have an understanding of what prompting is all about. In IBM, we're also very strong on responsible AI. So we do have AI ethics embedded in our courses. And this is just a 1 hour, 45 minutes course where you can understand the 5 pillars of AI ethics. And this is, I think, something that is a soft skill to understand this and would be useful for any policymaker or a teacher or even a student for that matter. So it gets deeper, as you go into the platform. We have a set of students taking Improve Your Resume with using Gen AI tools. So we have that. And of course, I will be remiss if I don't mention our platform, watsonx. And we do have free, scratch. You can just test how the watsonx platform runs. And we also have a free course on that in Skills Build. Okay, so this is something fun that we usually start with our students. We always ask them, you might want to take this 5-minute AI-powered quiz where you can, answer some questions and check out what's your tech type, right? So you just go to skillsbuild.org/techtypequiz, or I actually put the QR code for those online. And you might want to take this quiz, and it gives you like a picture of your interests, whether you're for a cybersecurity role or a data scientist and things like that. So it's a very fun thing to do, and after 5 minutes, it will give you some insights into your preferences and maybe what job roles you might be in the next few years. So this is really great for senior high school students or maybe even junior high school students who may just want to take it and just see, whether their skills and their interests align to a job in technology. But beyond that, we do have deeper level insights assessment for free as well in the platform. And once you register on skillsbuild.org, you can take these career insights questionnaires. There's like a 15-minute one where it's quite easy, you can just answer a few questions. And what's nice about these 2 assessments is if you're really serious about, let's say, taking a job on cybersecurity, for example, then it will actually, the platform will give you some suggestions on what Skills Build courses to take as well after you've answered all of these questions. Okay, so I have a few minutes, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we have done in the Philippines. So during the pandemic, when we launched Skills Build, we started working with the Department of Education National Capital Region, and we started off with the foundational badges, right? And in fact, in the right side of the screen, we have co-created lesson exemplars, or like lesson plans, but they're electronic, right? So these short lesson exemplars can be implemented by the teachers for 1 week, for example, when they teach a certain course or a subject. And we've aligned this with the government's curriculum as well, so it makes it easier for the teacher to kind of introduce these concepts in the classroom. Okay, so very recently we've done a career, as an IBM Skills Build career preparation caravan. And we've worked with some private and public schools as well to introduce this. And of course, access can still be an issue in many parts of the Philippines. So the beauty of the platform is it runs on the mobile phone. So we ask the students, we bring them in a classroom and sort of introduce the platform to them, how it's going to help them prepare for their careers. So these are senior high school students, and they were preparing for their work immersion the next semester. So we've introduced the Job Application Essentials course, and our partner, the nonprofit, supports that initiative by injecting more activities for them so that they can ultimately implement this, course, and then the students earn the badges at the end. And of course, we've also been working with some faculty in the Philippines. So we work with the Commission on Higher Education for these. So very recently, we've developed some facilitator-led programs where we taught and shared with them AI and cybersecurity skills to faculty in Laguna. So this was a very interesting activity as well. And then, of course, for the general public, we do have this partnership with the Department of Labor and Employment and the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. So at the macro level, we are also implementing Skills Build through their portals, whether they have their online learning portals or their platforms for jobs and careers. So Skills Build is now available there, and anyone from the Philippines can actually access the platform through these mechanisms of the government. So I guess that's really my sharing for today. We want to partner with as many people and tell them the good news about IBM Skills Build. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to address all our societal problems. But as I said, this really supports our advocacy of bridging and lifelong learning for everybody, not just youth and adults, but everyone who wants to learn. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Abby. And I think that included a call for action for us to stop doom scrolling and for us to figure out what kind of technology we are. I feel maybe at this point I'll be a typewriter. I'm up here with paper and an iPad. I don't know which I'm using more, but thank you. I really like how you shared IBM's ambitions around actualizing its vision of skilling 30 million people globally by 2030. And I like that you also really highlighted and demonstrated the value of different types of partnerships, right? The partnership across to actually develop and localize these kind of platforms, but then also the kind of partnerships required within the government to think about scaling and the actual use cases for this platform. So that was really exciting. Now we have a nice amount of time left for us to start. We're going to start by having a little reflection session within the panel to kind of bridge these themes together, and then we'll open up for the last, say, 20 minutes to discuss more broadly with you. So really, like I started off by saying at the beginning, there are different types of technologies that have been really harnessed through this discussion. So I think we began with an example of a software engineer that's situated within the National University of Singapore. So thinking through how that kind of research informs innovation. And then secondly, we heard an edtech provider from Pakistan talking about how the design must be aligned with the infrastructural needs of the low resource environments. And then finally, a perspective on the kind of skills needed and how we can go about building those skills and equipping youth, adults, everyone, as Abby said, for the demands of the world ahead of us. So to really bridge those gaps, I think there are different things we can learn from each participant. And I'll put the full disclaimer that, I work at EdTech Hub. I'm at the Hub's Asia lead. I don't think I ever introduced myself. That's what I do. And I almost describe us as tech de-influencers because we're a little hesitant. We work in very low resource environments. We want to make sure that there's evidence-based approaches being used so we can do what Omer suggested, which is to spend better, right? So some of the questions I'm going to ask the panelists come from a series of work that we've done to, think about what are cost-effective, impactful solutions that, can be scaled in low to middle-income countries. So with that said, I think the 3 different sessions covered what we call the 3 C's: content, connectivity, and finally capacity. So I'll begin with more of the content side with you, if that's all right, Shubham. Thank you for highlighting 2 critical aspects. That education is or improving education is a pedagogical challenge, not just a technological one. While doing so, you also highlighted the potential challenges of an over-reliance on AI and the kind of hallucinations and limitations within AI. So I'll begin by asking you, Shubham, what does it mean to you to approach AI right? And this is particular if we're going to focus on equity.
Yeah, so one of the major concern is accuracy, of course. So in any other application of AI, even if the accuracy is not high enough, it works out. If it's good enough, it's good enough. But that's not true in education, because you might end up confusing and generating content that's not actually taking the learner in the right direction, but rather misguiding the learner, which is something you deliberately and desperately want to avoid. So that is one of the pitfalls. The second pitfall is with recent advances at LLMs, there are so many technologies that are booming up that are just in the race of getting to the market, which is not the right approach. You should not run for go to the market. You should ensure that whatever you are building is accurate. It's providing the right approach pedagogically to the learners, and it's really impacting the learning. So those are 2 key things that we are actually concerned of, and we are very conservative about bringing any technology to production before we bring any technology to production. And then we actively research on how we can leverage these technologies to actually further improve their accuracies, further improve the impact that they can create. So we conduct user studies, we go to low resource settings, and we try to conduct user studies, how actually the learning is happening on these things, right? So these are the kind of approaches we do. And the reason I said we should be very conservative is because we truly believe you should do no harm. And in education setting, it's very easy to do that because the person who is at the receiving end does not know what's right or wrong. So it becomes our inherent responsibility that whatever we are imparting as part of knowledge, as part of content, as part of feedback should be accurate.
Thank you for bridging the gap between research and ethics as well. So that's a really useful approach. So what I'm hearing there is really we need to remember what the implications are of whatever we're putting out into the universe, rather than using this opportunity to, for lack of a better word, participate in the arms race. No, we're not trying to get to the moon tomorrow with AI. It's more about thinking about what's impactful. So thank you for that. And then similarly, I will just ask a question. I see a lot of questions coming in online, so I guess I'll have to hold back a little with mine. I have so many. But Ms. Omer, I would love for you to talk a little bit more, because I really appreciated how you highlighted Knowledge Platform's approach with a focus on impact. Like, what really stood out to me is the low student per month cost, which is something like 40 cents per student, which I think it's really hard. Ooh, I'm in and out. Okay, everyone can hear me now. So I think just to get the balance between cost and effectiveness right is something that many edtech providers do struggle with. So with that, okay, my mic is back, I think. So hopefully everyone can hear me online. If not, please flag to my colleagues in the chat. So, you mentioned the potential of technology in democratizing education. I believe that was your phrasing. And, with your work in very low resource settings, you said the most remote areas of Pakistan and Afghanistan you mentioned as well, where there's a ban on female education. So what do you feel is needed beyond the technology to make sure that, quote unquote, as you said, everyone can become lifelong learners?
Well, that's a fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking. Well, beyond technology, I think the core part and the stakeholder that can bring in the change is the teachers. We cannot actually just eliminate the factor that a teacher can bring in into a classroom. And you see, that's what we are focusing on in Pakistan, as well as in all emerging markets where we have seen a greater impact. We have seen it came in because of a great teacher, or not if a great teacher, but a teacher with some pedagogic background that uses that technology to bring in that change. So it's a behavioral change. It's not that much easy to bring in, and probably technology can accelerate that behavioral change, but there should be a passionate person, a teacher, who should be using and utilizing all those elements and pedagogic components and technology to make that happen. And that's what we are doing. And that's the main thing that helped us for all different settings.
Thank you so much, Omer. So what I'm hearing is that it's really about empowering teachers with the use of tech.
Exactly.
Have you had to, like, what about the digital skills required for the actual implementation? Is that something you focus on as well?
Yes, definitely. Everyone needs certain skills to actually cope up and to work in an environment that's required. So teachers training, we did teachers training in the remotest locations. Even I remember that we did some teachers training with teachers who are aged 40 plus. They have experience of 30 years plus, and they don't even know how to use a mouse or to use a mouse pad. But we trained them. We trained them on the digital skills. We took them through a journey. So it's not a one-day activity. We did different sessions and schedule a plan, and we formalize our training plan for our teachers so that we can take our teachers through the journey of digitalization. And that's what I'm saying, that it's not an easy task, but it is a psychological change. And if you want to bring a psychological change in humans, you have to actually take that journey. So probably we see that usually a teacher takes probably a year or one academic year to cover that gap, to become a digital native, to bring that change into the classroom. And that's what we are doing. And you know, in Pakistan as well as in the most emerging markets, teachers dropout as well as teachers availability is a big issue. And the next big issue is the quality of the quality of the teaching and what they are teaching to those classes. So bridging that gap, if we are saying without technology, is through face-to-face psychological different activities. And we do that in many different ways. We do classroom observations. We visit our affiliated schools every month. We sit in those classes. We see how those teachers are actually teaching. What are the pedagogic approaches they are using? Like in primary, we are using 5E framework of learning. So we usually notice and we observe that if a teacher is using that framework to teach in that class, so that's where when I say that we are democratizing the education part comes in, that we are teaching the same pedagogic approach to a teacher who is teaching in Balochistan and the same to a teacher who is teaching in any metropolitan city, so that the quality that a teacher is actually delivering should become a standard. So that's what we are actually doing without technology.
Thank you so much of bringing together the whole cross-cutting element of upskilling when it comes to at least teacher training and support. With that in mind, we're going to go to another layer. Abby, I would love to dig more into IBM's ambitions. And I know I mentioned earlier, just really excited to hear about these different levels of partnerships. Based on your experience, because you mentioned a few things, right? You mentioned there was one aspect around translation. This stood out to me, because initially this was what stood out to me with my EdTech Hub hat on is like, okay, how are these solutions being localized? That's one aspect, right? But then the other is how they're actually being implemented beyond just, people logging in, like the shameless plug you put out here for us to stop doom scrolling. But yeah, with that in mind, how would you approach partnerships to actualize this vision, let's say, on different levels?
Yeah, thank you. That's a tough question because it really depends on maybe the local scenario, like what issues you have to maybe see first, what the concerns are in the local context, for example. So we essentially look for partners who, of course, align to our strategy as well, but at the same time have the same vision of skilling and workforce development and all that. So, for example, in our setting, we do work a lot with the nonprofit organizations who are in various capabilities, right? Whether they work with women or with disadvantaged youth or senior citizens, for example. So we partner with them and come up with like a really strong program that really supports the needs of the community. So that's what I like about, Skills Build. It's actually quite flexible because it provides the foundational level skills that you might need, but beyond that, if you want them to become employable, then that's where the partner comes in, right? So, and it's not just, let's say, the nonprofit or the civil society partner, but also it takes the village. It actually needs the help of the local government. It needs the help of the school, for example, in that area, if you are working, for example, in formal education. But in settings where, you're really in far-flung areas, then you work with the barangay, for example. So in the Philippines, we have the smallest unit of the community, and we call that the barangay. And we work with these at the local level and really come up with strategies that will support the needs of the barangay and also support the local communities jobs needs, right? So if, for example, there's a dearth of programmers or web developers in that area, or, for example, there's a need for project management skills, then we support those things with them. But beyond that, the fundamentals are also very important. So we start off with some professional skills, equipping them with like some job application essentials, like creating their resumes. That's really number one. Why are the digital credentials important? Is because you can actually put them in your online CVs, right? So I actually kind of forgot to mention that these credentials are online. It makes it easier for us to look for jobs anywhere. So once you equip them with these skills, then it will help them really boost their profile online, and hopefully they land a better job. That's really the idea. So partnerships are really very important. We cannot do it alone. No one's a silo, right?
I like how you mentioned the different levels of that, from ministries of education to donors to also the barangay. That's a really nice differentiation of how specific organizations must be when doing this kind of consultation and approaching partnerships. It's not just about finding implementing partners and calling it a day, right? So thank you for demonstrating that.
Thank you.
Now we're aware we have a bit of time left. I'm seeing a few questions online. I'll start with the one online question, then open up to the audience here as well. So I'm seeing one, which is linked to language. Quote unquote, AI has transformed lifelong learning. It also raises concerns about endangered languages. AI may further threaten efforts to preserve and develop literacy in native languages. How does AI impact these communities, and are there ways to mitigate the risks? This is not an easy question. I'm going to open up the floor so we can start brainstorming, troubleshooting through it. So it's really a language problem. There's a do no harm principle within that. And I guess it also touches on what kind of data is available. Would anyone want to take a first stab at this?
It's a tough question, really.
Maybe we're still working through it.
Yeah, I guess one of the key concerns for all these endangered languages is the kind of data that is available. As we all know, for English, we have AIs that are very well trained because of how widely it's spoken to. But there are solutions that are being developed that can, translate into different languages, which I guess IBM is also doing when they are translating and trying to make it vernacular and approachable to a wider audience, the same content. So that is being done, but there are risks. One of the thing is because these translators are not really accurate, so you might end up botching a lot of the semantics, I would say, that's going out of it. So yes, there are concerns when we are talking about languages that are less spoken or languages that are endangered in general. But yeah, I think we are moving in the right direction, and hopefully with the efforts of governments across the, at least ASEAN region, where we see the governments are trying to build their own AI models that are trained in their own native languages, I think it would be a better future going forward.
Thank you. So a little bit of healthy hesitancy, but also a dose of optimism, because the whole thing is that investing in data systems, but I think also what you've raised is the importance of being aware of the risks as you go into different ventures in order to do no harm.
Exactly.
So I'll take another one from the audience over here if anyone has a question. There's a mic right there. Thank you.
I have two quick questions
Sure.
for our first presenter. So for you, does it mean that motivation equal feedback? The first question. And then the second one, how do you know that codes were created by the students but not by AI, and then AI checking its own creation, not the student's creation?
Can I ask a clarification on the first question?
Yes, the first one, at the beginning you said that motivation is very important, and we know that motivation leads students to learn effectively. And then through your presentation, I had the impression that for you, motivation equals feedback to the students, yes, because all your platforms, they provide this personalized learning through the feedback. So did I got your message correctly, or you interpret it in a broader terms, it is only one part of that?
So great questions, both of them actually. So for the first one, no, motivation does not directly relate to the feedback, but feedback is definitely one cog in the wheel, where if the student is losing motivation, what we realized is one of the key concern is that they are being stuck for a very long time and they don't have help available. When we actually monitored the real life, so as we said, right, so most of the technologies that we are building is inspired by the real life interactions. Many students are hesitant in reaching out in an open classroom or reaching out their teachers, right, just because they're shy. They feel that this is not a worthy enough question. So with AI, once you provide them a facility where there's nobody to judge them, their colleagues are not going to judge them, their teachers are not going to judge them, and at their own comfort zone, they can actually get the feedback that actually brings up the motivation. That's part one. Part two, in Chico, if you remember, we were talking about a forgetting curve. So a lot of time what happens is while you are learning, it all makes sense. But given some amount of time, you might end up forgetting a lot of these things. You might not be able to connect the dots going forward because you have forgotten what has happened in the past. So we are also trying to incorporate that and how you can actually make sure and refresh their memory and jog them through the memory lane, so that, you know, when the lesson is going to become more advanced, they can still connect the dots. They don't feel lost. So I think the lot of things that we are building is we are taking the inspiration from the real life interaction. So those are the two aspects of motivation that we are going for. There are again some micro improvements we are trying to do. For example, as you saw, in Singapore, Telegram is one of the most used instant messenger. So you'll just get a message from a bot. You'll get motivating thing that you're great job and things like that. So those are like I'm not talking even about those kind of signals that we send around to actually motivate them. Confetti, right? We mentioned confetti. You'd be surprised to know how encouraging, great job, and that confetti becomes when the students actually clear some tasks. So those are some, soft signals that we also send to keep them encouraged across it. So it's a I would say, multimodal way we're trying to mediate. Coming to your second question, we do not provide hints that contains code, and that is one of the key differentiating factor if they go out to, let's say, online and try to ask the question to ChatGPT, because once you go to GPT, you can get actually the real answer, the real explanation and all. Whereas in our use cases, we actually give them nudge towards the correct answer. We want to make sure that they are still thinking. They are not provided the answer. These are just hints that they can think in the right direction for. So there is no code that ever gets to them as a feedback until they have submitted. So once they have submitted, they can get, that's the right way to do it. But before submission, it's just the feedbacks, which is more human. And again, it could be Socrates style, where you are thinking, what do you think is the right way to do this? Or have you used these things correctly or something like that? Or Got it. So that's something we are currently working on with Koditsu, right? So how do you assess and how do you ensure that it's not the code generated by AI? We don't have a good answer to this. In fact, there are no good systems that can detect AI-generated code. AI-generated language, easier to do that. So it's AI-generated English, you can probably do that. For code, it's not really as straightforward. So we were trying to get multimodal signals there. I see Hani is looking forward because the time is over.
Yes, kind of. I thought I would just broaden it to a bigger question that also came up here, because I think it's interlinked, right? There's a question online around plagiarism. And I think the question you've asked kind of interlinks there, and it's something we commonly hear, even from teachers, around fears about students plagiarizing using generative AI. So just wanted to interlink it to our online audience as well, and then open up to see if other panelists have any thoughts there.
Yeah, that's a great one. So there's another project that at AICTE we have undertaken known as SSID, which is exactly to handle this. So that SSID is Students Submissions Integrity Detection, which is focusing on plagiarism. So that's where we are trying to handle this as well. So yeah,
well, even in our classrooms, we now started getting intimation from different school operators that the plagiarism through AI is now coming into the classroom as well. But we have to actually fence a classroom, and probably it is more easier and controllable in a classroom setting to avoid plagiarism, because that's a very controlled setting. But probably when you are doing a self-learning or doing coding through AI, I think it's still a milestone that we need to cover to probably reduce that plagiarism component.
Wow. Okay. So just to wrap up, maybe just by some points on that. Self-management is number one. But if I were a faculty, I should have at my disposal some tools that I can use. There's a lot of open source tools for you to check whether it's a plagiarized document or not. But beyond that, if I were an instructor or a teacher, I would ask questions that are not like copy-paste answers, right? So I could ask difficult questions that a ChatGPT will not be able to answer, or maybe ask the students to explain how they derived, the answers to those questions. So something like that. So it takes a little more creativity, and at the same time, I would encourage our faculty not to be afraid of technology, because these are tools that are at our disposal.
Absolutely. And I think whenever I think of this example, I go back to a long time ago when I was in school, and I remember the graphing calculators were like controversial, right? And we had to work through every step to show how we got to the result. And I would imagine similar approaches will be added as like guardrails when we start thinking about AI and what its effective use is. I will also insert a shameless plug is because, look, AI is another tool in education. It's something we're exploring with the same caution, but with the same requirement for evidence. EdTech Hub is launching an AI observatory so we can work closely with decision makers in low to middle income countries to start thinking about evidence-based and practical uses of AI. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We will have more evidence, inshallah.
I just wanted to add one more point. I think plagiarism comes in when there's a fear of assessment. And learning should not be linked with the fear of assessment. If you are learning something, then you should not be fearing and in a state of fear to be assessed. And probably that's another psychological leap that we all should take as a humanity, because we cannot stop AI. We cannot stop any student to go to ChatGPT or any AI solution to get out the answers. But probably we can change the way of learning so that we can actually adapt the AI to our learning process. That will actually help us a lot and will reduce lots of our issues and challenges in upcoming future.
Thank you so much to all our panelists, and thank you to you lively audience for joining us on a Saturday afternoon and hanging in here with us. But yeah, you've heard from 3 diverse perspectives from different angles of tech, so bringing together content, connectivity, and capacity across Asian and global organizations. So thank you so much, panelists. It's been a great discussion.